kind of thinking to ourselves a certain thing, maybe we might say something different, right? And here, to tell you the truth, I had proven my point about being able to grow a decent mustache, but I'd also learned to like it. Because Mike's kind of admitting that one of those 17-year-old boys that can grow like a full mustache, and he just kind of likes it, but his mom's just like, I don't like that look on you, all right? So that's why she doesn't like it. All right, so then we're on the whole next page. What's the thing about costing him money? What's all that about? What's the thing about his mustache costing him money? This is something that you should have read on your own last night. Yeah. All right, we'll look at your bulleted notes. This is something from the second full page, or the first full page, the second overall page that we read. And what did Mike's mom mean when she said that mustache is costing you money?
I wrote something different, or I wrote I guess a thought his mother could have. But,
What did you write?
I wrote that his mother could believe the mustache was representing his older, she's beautiful, but that's not what this question referred to.
Well, that's on the right track to specifically how it's costing him money. Okay. Come on, somebody who hasn't said anything yet. Mike, how's that mustache costing him money?
When he went to the movies, he had to pay the full price.
And he had to pay full price because the person that was at the ticket counter was looking at him and thinking, what, Mike?
That he was older than what he actually was.
That he's older than he is, okay? Because apparently it costs teenagers less money, for their ticket prices, right? But the person at the ticket counter looks at him and he looks so much older with his mustache, doesn't believe that he's a teenager, okay? And we also have a new character introduced when they're describing the situation where he goes to the movies, right? Who's the new character? Cindy. And who is Cindy? Right, we have to infer and guess that it's his girlfriend. And again, Cindy is his girlfriend, right? And Mike goes on to explain that, it left me practically broke and unable to take Cindy out for a hamburger with the crowd afterward, right? And then he goes on to say other things about Cindy, all right? Now, we have to pay attention when characters are mentioned, but they don't appear in the story. This is called indirect characterizations, okay? Characterization is just a fancy word for how writers affect what we think about characters as people, right? The most common is direct characterization. Mike is our narrator. He's telling us everything. So, there's nothing hidden. We just kind of have to keep track of everything we know about him, right? Mike's mom appeared in the story, right? We know she doesn't like that mustache. We know Mike feels possibly nervous, possibly intimidated when he describes his mom lined him up like a one-man firing squad, right? Because a firing squad is about to execute somebody, right? So he feels kind of like, well, what's going to happen to me? Right? So we know all this. But then we got a character named Cindy mentioned. And all we know about her is what Mike thinks about her and what Mike explains happened with her, right? Cindy's never going to appear in the story at all, which is a character, right? So we keep track of, who is Cindy and who she is and things like that. But we also got to realize all we know about Cindy is what Mike is telling us about Cindy. The example about indirect characterization I always bring up is from one of the Harry Potter stories, right? In the third Harry Potter book and movie, The Prisoner of Azkaban, right? Which if you've watched Freeform or Sci-Fi or HBO over the last 5 years, they'll play all the Harry Potter movies all the time. They'll have marathons and stuff like that. This is the one where a character named Sirius Black escapes from prison, right? And throughout the whole story, the students at Hogwarts, the teachers at Hogwarts, adults in and around Harry's life are concerned for his safety, concerned for all the safety of the students that are in the school. Because Sirius Black is supposed to be this crazed murderer who broke out of prison, and rumor has it that he's coming to Hogwarts, that there's some kind of connection between him and Harry Potter. And people fear the worst, that he's going to try to kill Harry Potter. People know he had something to do with Harry's parents being killed when he was a baby, right? Which is the big backstory for Harry Potter. However, is anybody who knows that movie well enough or knows the book well enough, can you tell me what's the big twist with Sirius Black that it doesn't turn out to be what people think it is? Haley, what happens? Right. Okay. Not only is Sirius Black he's not someone who wants to harm Harry, right? He does want to harm somebody, somebody who was responsible for the killing of Harry's parents because he was kind of indirectly involved, right? But Sirius was actually so close to Harry's dad that he's his godfather, right? And he's looking out for Harry. He wants to avenge Harry's father's and mother's deaths, right? So if you're reading that book, The Prisoner of Azkaban, if you're watching that movie, The Prisoner of Azkaban, you see posters, like wanted posters of Sirius Black for the whole movie. And everybody's talking about Sirius Black. And everybody's, your whole image of this person is he's like the villain in the story. You know, he's the antagonist of the story, right? But J.K. Rowling used indirect characterization to only have us thinking that. And that's why it turns out to be such a big twist. Because when Sirius Black finally does appear, yeah, he's creepy looking and he's aggressive, and you find out he's one of these like magical people that can turn like to a dog and then to a human, you know, back and forth and stuff like that. But he doesn't turn out to be a threat to Harry Potter at all, right? That's indirect characterization. The only thing we know about characters is what other people say about him or her or about it. Okay, so Cindy falls into that category, right? He's about to leave his mom here. Notice it reads, "Now it was my mother's turn to sigh." Right? Let's remember that when somebody sighs, that's important. There's different reasons when somebody can sigh, right? Could there be a happy time that somebody sighs? Yeah,
Yes.
Jackie, you're shaking your head. Yes. What's an example of like? Yeah, good. Like a sigh of relief, right? Maybe you're like expecting like bad news, right? Or maybe you're expecting that like somebody's like really badly hurt, right? But then you find out later, like, oh, it's just a sprained ankle, and you're just, you know, you just kind of like let out that breath. That could be a good thing, all right? But we got to wonder about this one. Now it was my mother's turn to sigh. Look, I said, cheer up. I'm thinking about shaving it off, even though I wasn't. Another discovery: you can build a way of life on postponement. Okay. Now here's the thing with our narrator again. He tells his mom one thing, but he doesn't really mean it. We know that, but the mom doesn't. What's the literary term for that kind of a situation in literature? Zoe?
Suspense.
It's something that can build suspense. But what's it called when we as readers know something that characters in the story do not? Jack, you know this? Good. Dramatic irony. Okay, Zoe, I can tell you had it on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah.
Because it's usually used in a scary movie, right? And it builds suspense, like Sylvia says, right? Whenever we know that somebody just got off their cell and told somebody a lie about the whereabouts of someone, right? You know, we kind of react. We're like, ooh, right? But that character that's just spoken to on the phone doesn't know me better, right? We know it, but the character doesn't. So it gets a reaction out of us, right? Well, this is minor by comparison. You know, Mike tells his mom, all right, I'm thinking of shaving it off, right? Then he admits to us, like, no, I like it, I'll keep it, right? And he, this kind of joking thing where he says you could build a way of life on postponement. Meaning he's thinking like, all right, if I tell my mom, I keep telling her I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, maybe she'll just like drop it eventually, okay? Now this is the part I mentioned earlier. Your grandmother probably won't even